This is G-Brands, I'm Andy Rowe, and joining me as usual is All Blacks legend Justin Marshall, and this week, according to allblacks.com, we're joined by a rock-solid midfielder, and if it wasn't for stiff competition from Nonu, Sonny Williams, Antonetta Brown and Ngani Laumape, would have played more than his impressive 48 tests. It is Ryan Crotty. We're going to be chatting Wallabies with the champ Jeremy Paul himself about the Lions. We've got the Force, the Reds and the Waratahs to cover. We'll be chatting to Force captain and Wallabies halfback Nic White. What was it like out in the field against the Lions over the weekend? And we've got a preview of the All Blacks' first test of the year against France in Dunedin this week. And a massive thank you to HSBC Australia for supporting the pod and the game we love with the Everyday Global account. We've got one card that lets us spend like a local no matter where rugby takes us, home or away. Ryan Crotty, thanks for coming on the show, mate.
Thank you for having me.
He always has a real brief intro for me, Crots.
Oh, really?
Yours was impressive, yeah.
Take that, yeah. 48.
48
50 would
tests.
have been nice, but you're right, there was a few pretty good players in front of me. So.
Was that kind of, when you think about New Zealand rugby and golden period, which you played through to a degree, was it also kind of like a golden period of midfielders, unfortunately, in New Zealand at that time? Like you just rattled off the names that you had to compete against?
Oh, the amount of times I had Shag tell me that we don't need another Conrad.
Did he say that?
Quote unquote, yeah.
Yeah.
Not a bad person to get compared to, or player. Yeah, it was. I guess the flip side of that is you kind of rub shoulders with those guys and learn a lot along the way. So, it was a cool period of cool time to be an All Black, and like you say, a lot of competition for spots in that midfield.
Annoying when Sonny Bill decides to switch from the wing to the centres, eh? It's like, mate, just give him a little tap on the shoulder. You're good on the wing, but just stay there.
First Canterbury, then Crusaders and the All Blacks guy.
What was your mentality at that point? Because those guys are some of the best who've ever played the game in those positions. What was your mentality? Because a lot of people would have just taken some overseas contract and gone, but you kept coming back.
Oh, it was certainly crossed the mind at times to go chase opportunity somewhere else. But I remember then if I had done that, I would have been running away from the challenge of getting the opportunity in front of those guys. So I think at the start it was just learn off those guys. You know, you're in camp with some of the greats and learn heaps off Skarks and Conrad as well. That's the cool thing about the All Blacks. You know, when you're part of that team, it's team always comes first. And so with the middies was, Ma was awesome at teaching me parts of the game, but also how to be a good leader off it. So little things like him taking us out for dinner and as a middies unit and things like that are certainly I hope to carry forward when I was the leader in that group. And the other side of it is you just got to get better. If you're not getting the opportunity, it's because you're not good enough. And so you look in the mirror and right, how am I going to get better and crack on with that.
Is there something about, Marshy always talks about like getting players involved in the All Blacks setup, and you get a little taste of it and it drives you to become better than what you thought that you were capable of being?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the main thing I remember from that environment is just how everything's about getting better. Team first, but how do you... Also the selflessness probably of that group, like how you work together to grow each other, and it doesn't matter who has the opportunity to put on the jerseys that week, it's how you can help them for the team. So that's what I probably remember about the middies the most is for whoever got the opportunity, you park your kind of ego at the door and then help them to be the best version of themselves that weekend.
I quite like the fact that you're, like, at the end of the day, you're in a very successful Crusaders outfit and Canterbury one. And I was fortunate to experience that as well. But when you take that next step to the All Blacks, it's the players then that you're pulling the trigger on around you that have this different set of skills. For example, when I was there, you had Christian Cullen and Jonah Lomu that you kind of like take a little snipe down the blind side. It might be the wrong option, but you give it to Joni, mows two people over and busts through, and it's like, good option there, Marshy, to go. Big overlap the other way. It's like, fuck. Okay. But like for you, when you went into that environment functioning around those types of players. You would have been used to a few of them at the Crusaders, but it's nice then because it evolves the way you play and what you see, do you think?
Oh, 100%. Like your focus just has to just narrows to your own stuff. You know your shit, and everyone else takes care of theirs.
Yeah,
and also like you say, being around like world class players just lifts you as well, doesn't it? Like, oh man, I remember my second test I think was inside Corey Jane, and like the level of communication that he gave his centre as a winger, I was like, I'd never experienced it.
Wow.
So then you go back to the Crusaders and hey, this is what CJ does.
Yeah,
this is what
I expect this now.
Yeah, and I think so that levels up. So I think just the players are so good around you. You only got to worry about your own stuff, and then that's I remember it like it was yesterday. And his feedback was if I tell you who to tackle, and you make all the tackles, then I don't have to make any. So then I learn how to talk. And then
that's smart. Yeah.
Well, I just started telling my 12 who to tackle, and then I don't have to make any sense.
Exactly.
So what does that communication look like for someone that's got no idea when Corey Jane's outside you?
Yeah.
What's he saying? How often is he talking to you? Like what does it look and sound like?
So while the ball's in play, he's set on the wing. He would just constantly be feeding you who you needed to get to. So as that ruck came further in field, he might be able to get to last. So he would give you the second to last. He'd tell you who it was, what colour boots he had. Some great detailed chat. So you just know, okay, that's all I've got to worry about. Then I can feed it on to the guy inside me who he's got. And then all I need to worry about is my alignment with the guy inside me so I can go get who I need to get to. So he's got last. So, and then as that would go further wider, he might be communicating maybe the third set of hands in who I need to get to. So if you've got certainty in a good defensive system, like Smithy used to always talk about, you're a good defender.
That's amazing. I've got to tell you a story, Crots.
I love story time.
No. But it's Wayne Smith again, and he's coaching us.
Yeah.
And we've got Alami Uramir and Tana Umanga as second five centre, So Smithy's come from Crusaders in Canterbury, heavy drift,
Yeah.
Let's go up, hold, push, and just push them towards the touchline. Yeah. So anyway, we have our first defensive meeting and Smithy's sitting down. He's got quite a few familiar Crusaders faces there. But then these other guys in there, particularly our midfield, he says, righto, boys, puts up a defensive system on the on the black whiteboard and talks it through. Then he puts up a video clip of attack. And so he's educated us on how he wants us to defend with the drift, So the first person he goes to is Alama, and he goes, okay, so he pauses it. If you see this picture, Alama, what's your first movement? Yeah. And Alama goes, I'm going to rush up and go smack that guy that's got the ball. And Smithy goes, oh, okay. And then he goes, Tana, what are you going to do? Fuck, if he's doing that, I'm following him in. I'm going to smack the second guy. There you go. And Smithy was just like, oh my God, I've got a long way to go here. Quite amusing how it can start in one particular spot, but changing people's mindset. They were just going to follow each other and just cut it off at the pass, whereas Smithy wanted to go, let them play around with it and push them over to the sideline. But that wasn't happening with those two.
You're now gone into coaching, so how are you finding those conversations? Because do you take like the information in from players, or do you go in with your set ideas and go, this is how I want to play it?
Oh, you can't be set in your ideas. I don't think. You've always got to be open to new ways and different ideas, and especially when it's the players, because the boys are the ones out there that have got to own it. So that's been a big learning. But you speak to Smithy in that drift defence, and we'll go another story, because like I come out of playing under Smithy at the All Blacks, and I love that way of defending. It was all hard work, trust you made inside you, and we'll defend all day. Doesn't matter what the opposition's got. We'll 14 men on our feet. We'll tackle all day, and we'll outlast them. Mm-hmm. So in that system, I was statistically like a really good defender. Like I enjoyed, like, Smithy's one of the best coaches I've ever had, and I love him. He's a great man, and so I trusted him and trusted that system, and I was comfortable in it because I played well under it. So I was, great system. And then Ronan O'Gara comes in for the Crusaders, 2018, after 4 or 5 years, forever in the Northern Hemisphere, and they're just all out blitz. And so he comes in with his Irish accent, explaining to us, like, hey, from now on we're going to be defending like Alama and Tana. And I think, No, hang on, mate. Don't you blooming come in here and change that way and change the way we defend and stuff like that. And gosh, I was pretty fixed mindset as a player at times. I trusted what I thought was right and wasn't always open to new ideas. And
You're in good company.
yeah.
So did you voice that quite strongly?
I told him to get lost. Yeah, I said, mate, what do you think you're doing? No, we won the title last year. You come in here trying to. I was probably a bit defensive about it, and then that's one thing I admire about Rog is he really believes in what he knows as well and what he believes in. He was just so persistent with the way he drilled us in that system, and now after the way he taught me how to defend in that system, I admire him greatly as a coach, because now after he taught me, I wouldn't want to go back the other way. So in saying that, defence has evolved again since back then, but from 17 to 18, the way he brought in a new system and the way he coached us to be open to a new idea, it was class. And I think that's probably why we were successful in 18 and 19.
That's so interesting. I remember when Rog came over and I played against him, so I knew him quite well, and I'd seen him.
Great defender, eh?
Yeah, awesome defender. Yeah. If your man, his, he wasn't my man. Yeah, Rog's the great tackler. But I remember second game it was. I think it was the second game, one of the real early ones that you guys played in that year, and I caught up with him as you guys were warming up, and you'd just come out and you're just doing your drills and that, but you hadn't got. Anyway, I said to him, mate, how are you finding it? How are you getting on here, and how's Christchurch? Oh, family's all good, blah, blah. He said, yeah, a little bit of a challenge trying to get my ideas and views across to these lads. And he sort of was gesturing out there onto the field. So I'm not surprised that you've said that. He said, you know what his exact words were? He said it's really hard to change the mindset of success because Crusaders were a successful franchise, defended probably with that drifty right up and up until that point, and to change the mindset of we're going to do it this way, because Crusaders have won titles off the back of defence. Just tackle fucking everything that's coming at you, and just be, like you say, persistent. If it takes 40 tackles, it takes 40. So for him to come in and try and say we're now going to blitz, I can imagine how that went down like a shit sandwich, I would have thought.
Didn't go down too well with Crots over here, did it?
We got there in the end, and credit to him. He stayed with it. I guess that's great coaching on his behalf. Like he just believed in what he knew and what he thought would help us win, and he was right, because it did. And by the end of it, we were all trying to get the All Blacks to defend like that. So it was, mate, credit to him. Great man.
Before we get JP on to talk about the Lions, I just want to play you a clip, and I want you guys to sort of talk through what's going on, and you explain where you are on the field, what's happening, and what you're seeing on the screen as well. So just press play on that when you're ready. So the year is 2013. We're in Dublin. It's the All Blacks versus Ireland. And I think you were 19-0 down. And
it's 22-17 at this stage to Ireland with 20 seconds to go. Aaron Smith's got the ball, taking a quick tap. Crots.
Own 40-metre. I remember earlier on this, and when Sexton had a kick, probably to ice it. I think it was to put them outside the try or whatever. And even then I remember, like, it doesn't matter if he kicks us, we got time, we'll still win. Like, I just remember that this kind of era with just massive belief. Like, I think, this squad was a special wee 12 months of All Blacks rugby. But then I remember us running obstruction. Poor clean out, absolutely gassed.
So Mata's on the field, so you've come on at centre, have you?
Yeah, Ben Smith started at 13, and then he's gone to fullback for Izzy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but ball on play.
are you gassed at this point?
I think I carry one here coming up, and I get might be out of this after this. Yeah, absolutely gassed. Like, you're just hanging out. And I remember getting out of this ruck, and Nick Gill's here on the sideline screaming at me to pull width. Like, just screaming, get to width, fill the field, kind of back when with kind of two-sided attack structure. I remember the crowd.
So you were just stuck on the wing here?
I'm stuck on the wing, just absolutely blowing. should be fresh. Come on with. Can't remember how long. I remember sitting on the bench. Surely not going to get on here, but we're just under it. There you go. 40 metres out, run it in. Was that 45 Marshy?
Yeah.
4 or 5 defenders.
4 to 5 defenders. Crashed over, running the beard as well.
Yeah. Andrew Hall liked it, so I had to keep it. I just remember the belief. I remember the belief of that side. Like thinking, I don't know. Firstly thinking, geez, we're not going to get on. Because we're getting pumped. But then it was, once you're out there, you look around, you're looking at McCaw while they're taking the kick, you're looking at Rito, you see those leaders, and you think, no, we're good. Like, we're sweet. Like, doesn't matter what happens. In hindsight, if Johnny had to kick that goal, we had no chance of getting him. But
that's the difference between the two sides, isn't it? Like, there's one side there that has basically the ability to secure the game, doesn't, but not knowing the mindset of the other side, which is exactly what you've just described, of even if he kicks it, we could still find a way, even though it's the most unlikely thing to happen. But those players just would never believe that they couldn't win it.
No.
Incredible, eh?
It's weird. I don't know why. Surely there's reasons with it, whether it was sustained success or we'd done that in the past, come back at the death and won. But I always remember they drove the aerobic capacity as a squad really well. They would finish on top of teams because we had a strong bench. It was all sorts of stuff that were driven really well in that team, and maybe that contributed to the belief as part of it. But I just remember standing on that. I can be there right now. I think, we're on, we're good, we got this. And then,
unbelievable.
Yeah,
such an amazing moment. All right, we're now joined by a man that's on the ground. In fact, he's not on the ground. He's so scared of the Lions. He's locked up at home. Jeremy Poole, how are you, mate?
Oh, petrified. No. Good, mate, good. A bit cold here in Australia at the moment. I think we just went under 10 degrees. So I know that's just a nice, beautiful day in Christchurch, but very cold here in Australia, mate. I'm freezing.
Talk to us about that match. We don't care about how cold you are in sunny Sydney, mate. Tell us about the Force. Were you surprised at the scoreline? Were you surprised at how it all eventuated?
No, that was expected. Look, we were always going to see a far better performance by the Lions. I think, firstly, look, we can't take away, and I think I should have said this last week, right? Can't take away what Argentina did. Look, they tackled their hearts out and were sort of showed from the Force, right? Like, they had all the possession. I think it was something like 70% possession and territory in the first 30 minutes of play. The discipline of the Lions was awful at the start in that first sort of 20 to 30 minutes. So they chewed up a lot of juice in defence, but obviously their class prevailed later on in the game. And I think the Force, in terms of their depth, look, we saw a fair few players released, like in terms of, sort of Nic White, Tom Robinson, Ben Donaldson. He played fullback, normally 10. With the late withdrawal of Kurtley Beale as well. And Dylan Peach, wow, what a performance by Dylan Peach. Sort of shows, that impact, right, like of that back coming off. And Dylan Peach did that last year in the test matches last year and took his opportunity, and then he got himself a bench spot. So, and that's what you want to see from your reserve players or players trying to make the starting 15, and that is to come on and to make a difference. And Dylan Peach was absolutely superb. So we didn't see any Carlo Tizzano, or we didn't see Harry Potter. So does that potentially mean they might be in the Test 23? Don't know what Joe Smith's doing at the moment.
Oh, that's a good one. Sharp.
Oh, look, we've seen Big Tongan Thor, Talalia Tupu, being released today to go back and play for the Waratahs, which isn't until Saturday. Because we've obviously got the Queensland Reds game coming up on the 2nd of July. And all we've seen is, who has been released? I don't think anyone's been released. So we've got Hunter Paisami in the squad. We've obviously got Tate McDermott. Can't see him getting released. Harry Wilson, Fraser McWright, best 7 in the world. Can't see him getting released. And Zane Nogor, who I believe might have picked up that tight head reserve spot in front of Tongan Thor at the moment, depending on how Talania Tupu plays against the Lions on July the 5th. So still lots of spots up for grabs, man. Still lots of spots.
Hey, JP, when we were speaking to you last week, when you said you were scared and now you're petrified, what hadn't happened was the Lions hadn't arrived in Australia. They were on their way, but they're there now. Usually there's a lot of hype and I guess this sort of, when you think about the Lions, an aura about them being in a country. They're there now and obviously kicked off at the weekend against the Force. What because of rugby, as we've spoken about, really struggling against the other sports over there, what's it like in Aussie at the moment with the Lions be there? Is rugby getting the attention with them being on the ground?
Oh, great question, Marshy. And yes. Over 46,000 people, home record for the Western Force. Biggest ground, biggest home ground for the Western Force in their history. Over 46,000 people at Optus Stadium. What a stadium too, by the way. It's a remarkable place to play sport. So it sort of shows, right? Like sort of shows the interest, and everyone's talking about the Lions here in Australia at the moment. There's events happening all over the place. Obviously, we got the Mothership and Good, the Bad, the Rugby doing live shows all over the place. I'm going to be one in Brisbane. Can't make the one in Sydney because one of us have actually playing against the Lions. I know James O'Connor missed out, but I'll be playing the Classics. So one of us is still playing the Lions on this tour. So I'm happy to represent G Brands, boys. Don't worry about that. So, yeah, lots going on. Yeah, look for all these events, man. It's crazy at the moment, all these social events. I'm getting all these things sent to me. Come to this. Oh, mate, it happens every 12 years, right? So, we're going to take the most of it. And I think, actually, I was talking to Justin Harrison the other day. They got for the Force game, they had about 100 people, I think, in their tour party. They're expecting within the next 7 to 10 days, 3,000 people in their tour party. So how do you even hold a tour party of 3,000 people? I mean, it's ridiculous.
You mentioned earlier about players getting selected and not getting selected, or who's going to be released for the weekend games. When it comes to the Wallabies, I'm just trying to think when the last time a lot of these players played. Obviously, you got the Fijian test, but the Lions are playing throughout this tour, right? They'll all have game time. Are the Wallabies going to be a bit underdone going to the test series? Like, shouldn't they be releasing some of these players, especially for these earlier games? Like, what's the harm in some of these test match players getting a bit of game time now? What are we, 3 weeks out?
Them getting injured would be harmful? Would that be harmful?
Okay, all right, that's a good point, Marshy. Close down the question. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, JP. Marshy's got it.
Well, I have strong first question. He said great question.
Good question.
Oh, no, that's not that good
Thank
question.
you, Marshy.
Okay.
No, super question, because back in 2001, like the game I played when I had Martin Johnson neck rolled me, snapped my knee, ACL, bang, gone. We were so underdone. Like, we were so underdone. We played one game, I think, within 4 weeks to that lead up. That was against New Zealand Māori. So we played that 2 weeks, I think, or 2.5 weeks prior to that, like, first test at the Gabba. It was in Brisbane. We don't normally play at a place called the Gabba, which is an AFL ground. And the Sea of Red, right? Like, it just... Yeah, a lot of people spoke about potentially we're intimidated and stuff. We were just literally underdone. We hadn't played a game in 4 to 5 weeks. So, to Joe Smith and to the rest of the coaching staff for organising the Fijian game, look, that wasn't originally on the table, the Fijian game.
Was it not?
And then they realised, no, it wasn't, mate. That was a late, that was a late call-up for the Wallaby side to organise that. They only got organised this year. So because of a lot of the chat about being underdone, and I think, look, it is a good question, Andy, because when you think about injuries, look, I mean, I've always been one of those guys that, look, if you're going to get injured, you're going to get injured. But playing for your province and going back and playing against the British and Irish Lions, I think to myself, would I have gone? Absolutely. I think I would have loved to have gone back and played for the Brumbies. Did we get released? No. we didn't get released. So I don't know where a lot of the chat is coming from too, from the British and Irish Lions with respects to contracts and Joe Smith agreeing or Rugby Australia agreeing to sending test players back. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that we would agree to something like that. But if you're going to make it a good spectacle, you're going to release players, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's a great answer to a really average question, to be honest. So do appreciate that, JP. And actually, when I think about it, I was just rolling the dice thinking, hang on, let's think about this. Would I like to be released to go back and play for my franchise or my province, or play against Fiji? Now, which one am I more likely to get injured in? So I'm thinking probably releasing to the provinces or the franchises isn't the great shout.
Jump on board the bandwagon over here, Marshy.
Mate, you get your knees snapped against the Fijians. You know that. James O'Connor experienced that, didn't he?
Yeah,
It was
he did.
ankle
His
snap.
ankle snap.
Yeah.
Crots, when 2017, when the Lions came over, did you play for the Crusaders?
I didn't because I was injured, but heaps of the boys got released. We were pretty much full strength in 17 when the Lions came down to Christchurch. So I think any opportunity you get to play against the Lions on tour is special. So I dare say those boys will be chomping at the bit to get a crack at them.
Righto. So what did you make of the Lions' second performance? You know, obviously they had to move on from the Argentinian loss, and they did do with a comfortable win. Finn Russell back, a few players getting opportunities. Anything that you saw there that really stood out? Like, obviously this kid Pollock again made the headlines. Plenty of players pushing for test spots, but out of that performance from the Lions, what impressed you?
I thought the back three. Like, I've always been a big admirer of James Lowe. I think James Lowe is a big time player. I think he just gets himself involved, right? Like, that's what you want from your wingers. I thought Russell was good at 10, but I thought the back three really was the pick for me in that game. I thought their work rate was just excellent because the force at times, right? Because the force at times and how I believe provinces should be playing against the Lions, just run it, like just run, and like it's almost like Barbar style of footy, right? Like you just got to play. And when we did see that, like, I thought the work rate of the wingers for the British and Irish Lions, I thought the way that they got back, defended, and then re-attacked again and then applied pressure. And we saw that a couple of times where they were able to get that territorial advantage. So I think James Lowe has cemented himself a spot on the wing, definitely. Like, I thought he was excellent.
Well, look, since the start of the year, I've hammered you on the tight five. I've really enjoyed it as well. Seeing whether or not the Aussie forwards are going to be up to it and not get bullied. A lot of chat coming out of, particularly out of the UK in the press, is about how they haven't dominated up front and how they didn't dominate in that game. That must be quite a good sign, or do you just think they're holding back a bit?
Or no one's watching the game, man. Did no one see, like, when they changed over the front row and the tight end prop for the Force was saying hello to God? Like, he was literally put that far in the air. He was high-fiving Jesus. Like, it was just... where people are saying that these guys aren't, like, tallying up. At the first 4 scrums against Argentina, they got 4 penalties. Like, I don't know what games people are watching. Like, and tight five, like, they were... I think the big second rower, like with the big mullet, with the big mullet, he was the man of the match. Like, they were fantastic up front. I don't know what games people are watching. They've been dominating both games in the tight five.
Do you think they'll play as expansive a game as they did against the Force the other night? Like, it was a great game of code, that first 20, both teams just going at it, using the ball. To me, if they play like that against the Wallabies, it'll give the Wallabies a real sniff. That if that game gets loose and fatigue starts to set in after 20, do you think they'll play the same way in the tests?
Geez, that's a good question.
That's the best question.
That's the best question.
Oh, he's just been holding back too with that
as I said against the Pumas, I thought their shape in terms of their organisation, right? Like, having played in championship sides, right? Like, you guys obviously a little bit more than me, but still got to play a couple. When you look back at those seasons, right, and you look at that last game in the grand final, you go, you just know the clarity, right? Like in terms of everyone knew their job. Everyone knew where to be. They knew their depth. They knew their running lines. They knew the calls, like your calling structure, like you're calling things on the run. And I just felt against the Pumas that their shape, the British and Irish line shape, was, mate, it was excellent. Like their depth, they were getting around the corner, getting into positions. And we saw a little bit of that Pollock when Thomas Williams scored. When Pollock, all he did was back up, was Van der Merwe got through the line, bang, little pop pass. And I just felt like, obviously the force in terms of their defence wasn't as going to be as strong as what potentially the Wallabies is. But no, I'm with you. Like, Ryan, I think if they start to try and get loose like they did against the Pumas, those 50-50 passes, I just felt, and their discipline, like was Paul though in the first sort of 20 minutes again, I feel that would play straight into the Wallabies' hands. Absolutely, man. Like I think if you get too far ahead of yourself, then you try and pass those balls or try and put yourself into positions that just don't fit, then you're going to make mistakes. And I believe that the Wallabies, like they might try to go back to that set piece game then, and then like how South Africa sort of turn it around and they just go right out set piece, more scrum, like and having the side that you've got the ability to change up that sort of game plan is in itself, right, is so valuable. So yeah, man, I don't think they can afford to get loose like that. Like I think they'll tighten up a little bit with better defences. So it'll be interesting to see how they go against the Reds, because I think the Reds have been defensively under Les Kiss over the last 2 years. Their defensive processes have been really good. So it'll be interesting to see how they go.
JP, thanks very much for coming on the show, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, boys. Peace.
Cheers, mate. See you next week, eh?
Mate, big fan, Ryan Crotty. Fucking loved your work, man.
Oh, mate. Privileged to meet you.
Awesome. See you, boys. I'll see you in Christchurch. We get on the piss next week?
Yeah. I've told the casino, so you're fine. You're allowed back in.
Well,
yeah, no problem.
I'm allowed back in.
I sorted it. Yeah.
They kick me out every week, man. So leave it. All right. Gotcha.
It is now time for Rugby's Best Exchange, brought to you by HSBC Australia's everyday global account Visa debit card. Make sure your money moves as smoothly as a slick pass with one account, competitive exchange rates wherever you're headed.
Yeah, look, Andy, I'm very excited about my HSBC Australia exchange this week because it's all about work rate and effort. Mac Hansen in the game at the weekend against the Force. This is kind of what rugby's about, the little things within the game that you don't see. And his effort in this occasion around the 60-minute mark to basically off a turnover, chase a kick back, so win the race back to get the ball, and then make sure he secured position. And then all of a sudden they regroup after having to scramble back, finds himself getting the ball. It's like, oh my God, I've got the ball again. I've just run 50 metres to save the day. He then kicks it ahead. And instead of just sitting there and admiring his own kick, he decides, you know what? No one else is chasing this thing, so I'll chase it. So he chases it for another 50 metres. It's a good kick as well. Finds the land, bounces around. Then he goes in and disrupts and makes a tackle and causes a turnover. Now that's the type of things within rugby. You see all the razzle-dazzle. You see the physicality and the special moments. But those types of things within a game are what the game's all about, because they're game-changing. Even though they don't result in points at that stage, they've swayed the game and swayed momentum just by one guy making massive effort. And, I certainly felt that was very worthy of the HSBC Australia exchange this week.
I didn't have him in my Lions 23 initially for the test matches, but he seems to be one of those wingers that Andy Farrell likes, right? So he's not necessarily razzle-dazzle, scoring tries all over the place and making breaks. But neither is James Lowe. Like, they do a lot of collective things to contribute to an overall performance rather than just scoring tries.
I think they're smart, aren't they?
Definitely.
Like you saw James Lowe with the try assist at the weekend. You know, the fact that he looked like he was going to get bundled into touch, but he still flicked a little reverse pass. But it looked like he wasn't panicking. He had two defenders on him, and he just, a little flick pass to Sheehan on the inside resulted in a try. And Mac Hansen seems the same to me. Like, I wouldn't say they're lacking razzle-dazzle. They've still got some real X factor about them. But man, super reliable Crots. Like they just seem to perform week in and week out. Those two guys from Ireland, Mac Hansen and James Lowe.
To me, they just seem to make the right decision in the right moment at the right time. Like you look at J-Lo's decision whether to run, kick or pass, pretty much across his last 7-8 years. Is always class, and it's very often the right one. Same on the other side. I thought those boys were class the other night. They've got a lot of quality options to choose from right across that squad. There's guys that have been in form in Six Nations, you know.
Yeah, like Freeman, you know, because if they go for a kicking strategy, he's good in the air, isn't he? And then you got Fundermerva, who can punch and finish. You know, what style do you think they'll play that would then complement the wingers that they pick?
It depends as well with the mix they go across the rest of the back line too. Like, do they pick a heavy ball carrying midfield? Then do they need Vandermeer, you know, on the wing? Yeah. You know, do they need those guys that are going to work a bit harder in those kick chases to balance and complement each other across the back line? It'll be fascinating to see. They've got options, and then it's also who do they pick on the bench? You know, do they go with Smith that can cover 10 and 15, or do they go with a specialist midfielder? Good problem to have for Farrell. You got to have J-Lo there. He's been just so class, and Faz will trust him. Like, he's been there and done it for him for Ireland. So
that is rugby's best exchange. Thanks to HSBC Australia and the everyday global account Visa debit card, competitive exchange rates, multiple currencies. It's time that you converted. Well, shall we move on now to the All Blacks? Because they're playing this weekend against...
They're playing this weekend already?
Yeah. Dunedin, it's a sellout.
Mate, you've been on the booze for 4 days.
Everything's
you know the Super Rugby final was like 3 weeks ago.
Seems like just yesterday.
Yes, I'm sure it was.
Reeks on the wing, you reckon?
Yeah, I think so. But I think it looks from the exterior that's what they're considering.
You can see the bibs on Instagram, can't you?
You can. It's a bit of a telltale sign, isn't it? There's Rico Ioane with a number 11 bib on.
Oh, there we go.
And Proctor with a 13. But yeah, look, read into that what you may. There could be some mind games going on there. But
Artie Seville was wearing 7.
Yeah, well, has to, I reckon.
It's still, as recently since Satiti's out.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Spanner.
I know. Saying that, you obviously coached this year, and Christian Leo Willie. Mate, has that guy got an engine on him or what?
That was probably his feedback last year, not fit enough.
Right.
So it's awesome that he's gone away and worked at it.
Yeah.
Just his ball carry. Like, for us, without him carrying the ball, like, our stats drop away, like, immensely. Like, his footwork into contact, his ability to get us quick ball. Yeah, he's good, man. Good dude as well. Yeah. Like, such a great...
Dentist.
Yeah.
Like, if you need a little patch up, you know, just...
Nah, he sent me to his mate the other day and he boned me.
Oh, no.
Come on, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
Perks or...
How do you think he would go in the test match arena, though? Is he big enough, or is he good enough over the game line?
Yeah, well, you saw him. He's playing against test match level players every week at Super. I don't think... It is obviously a massive step up, but I think it'd be good. I think it'd probably lift him. You know, he gave him better to go to another level. I think some guys do, and then most guys go to another level. Once they do.
Yeah, it's again with those other players around you. You know, all of a sudden you're operating in your loose forward trio with Artie Savia, who's doing his ball carry and his unique style that he's got. So that creates defenders attention. You know, when you got Artie and he's hovering around the ball, then it's going to take 2 defenders to probably look after him. And then all of a sudden, Christian Leo Willie gets a one-on-one and chance to attack a weak shoulder, you know. So that's the effect that it can have when other players around you influence what defenders see. It changes the way you can play. Yeah. Whereas, you know, like at the end of the day, he did so much ball carry for the Crusaders, but it's because he just did it so well. He's getting both those defenders on him.
Exactly.
Which is helping others. But he's going to probably benefit from that. But anyway, whether he gets selected or not, now I'm not sure, you know, what Scott Robertson does in terms of pivoting now that Satiti's not there, and going back to the formula that he knows, which is Artie at number 8. I'm not sure, but there's some interesting selections to come.
Surely they don't just chuck Leo Willie straight into that number 8 jersey. That's a big call, isn't it?
Depend on Jacobson, whether he's back fit or not, because he obviously went off in that last, in the final with an HIA, and surprised he come back on, so it'll depend if he's fit and available, because he played blooming well all season. He's a great leader for the Chiefs, so he's probably earned the opportunity. But I don't think Leo Christian would let you down.
No.
What do we know about this French side?
Fuck, don't get me started about this, mate. We haven't got enough time.
Who's coming?
Mate,
Do we know yet?
Have you not heard?
Nah.
Oh, my goodness. They're bringing 6 of their regulars.
6.
Yeah.
Half of their squad hasn't played.
Yeah, the average caps in the entire squad is 9.
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, and if you take those 6 players like Fiku and that out, it drops to 2.
Really?
Yeah. So they are bringing a B/development team.
Oh, but in ways that's just as dangerous. It's the unknown, isn't it? Like
It means they can throw the kitchen sink because they're lacking their top line players. But look, for me, I'm just going to say it briefly because I haven't got the time, but I just find it massively disrespectful that they do this to us. We go every year to November with players that have played lots of minutes and played in finals, and we put our best foot forward and our best team to take them on their own park. And they get a crowd that is pumped about it. They fill their stadium, and it's an awesome occasion. And the fans get what they paid for their tickets, and they get to see the best players in the world go toe-to-toe against each other. Our fans don't. We don't get to see their top players, Intermax and co, all out here taking on the All Blacks, paying big money for ticket prices to play a B team. And I just don't feel that that's respecting the game and respecting us for what we do at the end of the year. Like for them to say, oh, our players have had this many minutes and all that sort of stuff. The minutes that are most important are the minutes that you put on an international jersey for. That's the most important component of the game, apart from club rugby. So fuck's sake, like it's so annoying to me that they do this and they regularly do it. My mindset is if you're going to keep doing it, which they do tend to do, we're not going to invite you anymore. We'll get teams who actually want to come here on our shore with their top team and take us on and try and beat us.
Passionate. Have you ever been in that situation, Crotts, where there's an All Blacks test, but you've been thinking, oh, gee, I've played a lot of minutes this year. Don't know if I want the jersey.
Not once.
No.
Jeez, give me more.
Yeah.
I think that's the best time to be when you're in that grind of playing, week in, week out. I think that's when you play your best footy as well. So that's a shame. I don't disagree with anything you said, Marshy. It's a shame, but also the ABs won't be taking them lightly.
No.
One thing we used to always talk about, especially when playing France, was they're the one team that can match us for athletes. Back then they're dangerous. I remember defending guys like Wesley Fofana, Fico in the midfield. They're just such good athletes. So it makes them dangerous. The unknown, fear of the unknown. Who are these guys? I'd say they'll be digging deep in some footage to find out and getting all the footy from over there, scouring through that. But the French are always dangerous, man. Like that. One day they'll turn up, be nowhere, but the next day they'll turn up and be world beaters. So I'd say that's the All Blacks are preparing for that.
Crotts, thank you very much for
Thanks,
coming on the
Crotts.
show, mate.
Awesome,
Really
man.
appreciate
Awesome.
it. Really
Thanks for
appreciate
having
it.
me on.
No worries. We're going to replace you now with Wallabies halfback Nic White. We'll get him on the line.
Just a slugging. Let's do it.
Oh, get him on the big screen. We've only got him for a few minutes though, because he's got to head to the gym. Nic White, thanks for coming on the show, mate. How good.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. This has been a while coming. Sorry, it's been hard to get a hold of you guys, and our schedules haven't aligned. But yeah, look, I've got all the time in the world. If you boys want to take me out a little bit of gym, that's all good.
That's absolute bullshit, mate. We've heard that you've been avoiding us like the plague, but we finally managed to nail you down, and I can certainly sympathise with you being a former 9 from many moons ago about avoiding the gym. It's just one of the most horrible things you can do on the training week.
Look, some guys live for the gym, some of us live for the field. It's just a means to an end. It is important, but it's not my place to push, unlike the front rowers.
Mate, you just played against the Lions for your club team. How big was that for you? That's pinnacle stuff, right?
Yeah, man, it was just the whole week. Like, it was such an occasion. Really enjoyable. I already look back on it and kind of pinch myself. I'd missed 2013, and it's just been sitting there in the back of my mind. To be able to play against them, and it lived up to the hype. Like all week walking around Perth, there's just red jerseys at every cafe, every bar. Just great fans of rugby too, like lovely people. Obviously supporting their side, and but you kind of have vibes of the World Cup. Just rugby fans everywhere, and then getting to the game, 46,000 at Optus. A club record for us, and for a lot of guys that hadn't played Test footy before, to play in front of that roar was unreal, and it just had a real goosebump feel about it. And if Justin would know, like those big games just bring out big feels as well. Like it was just unreal. Like you absolutely live for those games. Like as a kid, you run around the backyard, hoping like I'm playing the Lions, and I get and that moment comes true. It is man, it was unreal. And we spoke all week about just being laser focused in our prep so that we're able to enjoy those moments, and we certainly did for the first kind of 40, 50 minutes. We really enjoyed those big moments and played with some real intent, and disappointed the scoreline didn't quite reflect that game, but we certainly gave it everything we had, and probably fell off a cliff because of it. Just weren't able to live at that intensity for the full 80, but for that first 40, 50, man, it was enjoyable.
Nick, first of all, I have to offer you massive congratulations for making that Wallabies team, and missing out in 2013 shows not only your competitiveness but your drive and longevity to be able to get named in the current squad and still be there and still being massively competitive. To be able to achieve that and reach that goal, like when you think about the Lions and what they do bring, you just mentioned the hype and that. What's the process within the Wallabies to try and keep away from that? I remember when they were here and when I played in 2005, there's like 3 busfuls on them, the fanfare, and they bring a lot of that that's not usual in Test match rugby for any other team.
Yeah, it's I think the greatest challenge is that top 2 inches. There's a lot of distractions and pressures within rugby, and there's fatigue pressure, big game pressure, and Lions pressure and all the distractions that come with that throughout the week. And that's the greatest challenge as a footy player and as a team is being able to be fully immersed into your preparation on what's important, which is how we want to play the game, and how as an individual, how well prepared you can be, and stick to routine and play the game, not the occasion. That's something that really excites me, and something I know Joe has spoken about as a team for the last 12 months. About being prepared, and that's the excitement, right? Is that you want to play, like I said, the biggest games you possibly can, and as a player and as a team, and this is that, and it adds different pressures, and you go out and challenge yourself throughout the week and the game of are you able to stick to task under this just immense pressure, and it's exciting. Like you get to find out if you can or can't, and it's the challenge. Like I said before, as a player, you absolutely want you're preparing yourself always to be able to play in these big games and these big moments and see how you go.
Phenomenal chat. I love this. I love how playing the game and not the occasion.
I'm not going to claim that. That's Craig Benny's, not mine.
Oh.
Not a bad orator though, to be fair, and he does know how to get his words across quite well, doesn't he, that man?
How do you do that in the game? How do you play the game? What are you doing to bring yourself back to make sure that you aren't playing the occasion?
Yeah. Once you get out on the field, emotions are high. For me, just doing the basics. Running through my job and staying to task. And if I'm able to do my job, it allows, and if I do it well, it allows others to do their job and to do it well. And that's it. That's the exciting thing of being part of a side, being part of a team. Is you're important to that team to do your role, and if you do it well, it allows others to do their job well. And I take real pride in that. Certainly as a 9, through the basics of the skills, through the pass and kick, and getting to breakdowns quickly. And a lot of people see the kind of niggle and off the ball stuff, but I'm certainly able to get back onto task really quickly, and make sure I'm doing that job for the side. So if I can stay on task whilst also putting others off theirs, I'm doing my job.
You wouldn't be a world-class halfback, which you are, without having the niggle, Nick. Let's face it. Come on. I know you had a little smirk on your face, but you're one of the best. You're a genius. Australia actually has an amazing ability to have niggly halfbacks, to be honest, and you'll know who I'm talking about. So, look, I won't pepper you on that. I wanted to ask you about, you'll hear all the chat going around about preparation. Now, obviously, the Lions are getting good prep because they're getting plenty of rugby into them. You guys have got Fiji in your hometown. You Newcastle boy, and that's your one game before the first test. Firstly, it's a two-pronged question. Is that enough prep in your mind? And secondly, man, how cool to be playing in Newcastle. That must be awesome.
Yeah, man, boys have been training hard. We had a couple of prep hubs, training with the Wallaby coaches as the finals were going on with sides that have fallen out. And boys have been training hard this week. We've got a week now, leading up into the Fiji test in my hometown, which is unreal, man. Like Newcastle Harbour just behind me. It's very rare to have games of footy up here in the Hunter, I was lucky enough to play here in 2020. The game before that, I was kind of involved with Scotland in 2012, and it's going to be unreal. Like there's a buzz about this city. Like they love their footy, love their rugby, and to be able to bring a test here, and it's a class test. Like you guys know how good Fiji are now. That'll well and truly prepare us going to the Lions. It'll be really physical. They're a great team. And we're training hard, and all focus is on them first and foremost, and to put out a game for the Novocastrians and all of the Hunter that'll come down. I've played in Canberra, I've played overseas, now playing Perth. I constantly get it from my family that I'm always moving away from home, and it's a long way to go. So to be able to be here in Newcastle and play a game of footy is unreal, man. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be really a special occasion to be able to play up here. So pretty pumped.
Legend. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Appreciate
mate.
it, bro.
Appreciate it, brother.
Legend. Thanks, guys.
How good was that?
Mate, awesome. Look, Nic White, he's done everything in the game, apart from win a Bledisloe Cup, but we don't have to go into the...
Oh, Marshy. He
In the
just got off
centre
the
there. I know.
just got off
What
the
a-
call,
I
and
know.
that's a dickhead move.
No, it's not. It's reality.
Yeah, but you didn't say it to his face.
No, I'm just too chicken shit to do that. But no, I've always really admired and liked the way Nic White plays. Like, I think, and by his own admission, when he was in the best form of his life, he was very arguably the best scrum half in the world at challenging defenders. And he caused the All Blacks some headaches when he was picking on 1 and 2 defenders around the ruck and bringing other players off him. And he was just basically the architect of attack, and he's got great kicking game, which we saw at the weekend. So to have him on, who's just literally left the field from playing the Lions, how good.
Cheers, Marshy, and thank you very much for watching or listening on whatever platform you're watching or listening on. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and if you've got time, please do leave us a review. We'd love to know how you think we're getting on. We'll be back again next week.